Hi, welcome to ADHD Friendly. I am Patty. I'm an ADHD coach, and my main goal every day is to help me and you to thrive more and struggle less. If you would like more support than is possible within this podcast, I invite you to check out my website, ADHD Friendly, where you can also join my membership, also called ADHD Friendly. At ADHD Friendly, we're all about ADDers getting more things done. All right, this week, Becca, it's episode 197. I'm like, we're almost at the 200. Just feels like mind-blowing to me. So I'm getting excited for that. But this week I'm celebrating a gift from my husband. I didn't want you to see it.
Ooh, it's a surprise.
I'm gonna unveil it. And then I'll be updating my spending this week. Yep. That's all I'm gonna say about that. And then I will share a tip what not to say to somebody that has ADHD.
Ooh.
I've been wanting to talk about this for a long time because there's a lot of things that people say that can rub somebody with ADHD the wrong way. So let's just be a little mindful of how we phrase things when we're talking to somebody with ADHD. And then I will have a product of the week because there was some shopping. And then we'll dive into the main topic, which is 8 myths about ADHD and 8 facts about ADHD.
Okay.
So these are the top 8 that I'm calling my ratings, top 8 facts and top 8 myths. And then, of course, I'll finish up with my book for this week's episode. So let's start with the gift from my husband. Are you ready for the unveiling? Ties with my product of the week. I asked for this because I wanted it for a long time, and he built it for me. I told you he was making this, right?
Right.
So heavy.
So stinking cute. You made
this. So it has a little pull down, and it has a little, he added a magnet so it'll stay shut. And then this lift up for me to store it. But here's the beauty.
Oh,
it's a pull-out cutting board. It slides out. So if you have like bagels or muffins you want to store up top.
It's beautiful.
It's lovely. It's really heavy because it's solid wood.
Bet. How long did that take him?
3 full days.
Whoa, was that a weekend project?
Yep. Oh. And think about that.
Yeah.
Spent the entire weekend one weekend and then finished it up on the last full day last weekend. And then he finished it just with a food grade oil. Ooh. That he did 2 coats of to seal it, and
it's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. So I couldn't get this or have him make me this, which I've wanted for such a long time. I'm so excited. Without then, I'm going to go right into that's my celebration. I have such an amazing husband that when I show him a picture, I'm like, do you be able to make me this? Because it was like expensive, and he gets mad at me when I buy things that are made of wood because he can do it. So he found himself. What are they called? It's not a pattern.
Blueprints?
Yeah, something. Directions. I don't know. And got all the materials. Had to take multiple trips to the store to get more lumber.
And the black too.
I know. He really, very, very conscientiously picked out. And of course, he's like so like picking out every little small, like, oh no, I can see I did this because he's never made one of these before. But I'm like, I stinking
love
it. So then I got my product of the week.
Is it a mini bread maker?
So it makes just a 1 pound loaf as opposed to the up to 2 pound loaves. But I have to say, and I can't say this name correctly, Zojirushi? I have no idea. Never heard of it.
Zojirushi. I like the little elephant.
Oh, I never even noticed the elephant. And elephants are like my spirit animal. That's so funny. Elephants and orcas. It just makes a little mini loaf. The mini loaf is so stinking adorable. I just love it. But I got it because I did my research.
Yeah, okay.
Because I had my husband got me a bread maker he gets like points from his company, like attaboy kind of things, attagirl, attaperson, whatever they're called. Yeah. Well done. And he can spend them like on they have all these different products. So he got me a bread machine that I just didn't love.
Yeah.
It didn't make bread that I was excited to eat. So I was like, all right. And that was disappointing because I had a bread maker for like 15 years and it worked great. Yeah. And I made my first loaf in this guy. Now I had that other bread machine for like literally 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And then I had the new machine that I've only used twice, and both times I was like, whatever. But both of the old machines, the loaf would get stuck on the little paddle and you always had to pull, and then I always had like all of this baked bread around the paddle.
Yeah.
Not this guy. I turned it upside down, it fell out. I was like onto the cutting board. I was like, I didn't have to do anything. And there was nothing left inside on the paddle or anything. It was just pure goodness. So it was the highest rated one on Consumer Reports. And it had really good reviews on the sites I was looking up to, like details of like, what do people like about it? What do people don't like? You know how we can go. I did the dive.
Totally.
But
you did your research.
I did my research, but here was where I ended up committing and spending the money. Is it was on sale for Amazon Prime Day. And I shared last week, I was not into Prime Day at all.
Right.
But one of my friends had asked me, I'd stop by to visit briefly, and they had like things out that they were getting. She's like, oh, Prime Days. And I was like, not even on my radar. Well, it was the last day of Prime Days.
Yeah.
And so I just happened to look, and if you can see me do this, I apologize, because I'm hoping that these don't show up. I have all of these alerts that I'm hoping don't show up on the thing.
I'll never go.
Couple, snatch those out of there if they're in there. But it is regularly $297, and I got it for $248 for Amazon Prime. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to get it. And I don't like buying things like that on Amazon Prime, but they didn't have it at Costco or Sam's Club, or anywhere like local that I could, because I'm like, if I hate it, what do I don't return things at Amazon well.
It's amazing.
And so I was like, I don't, but it made a delicious first loaf. I'm making the second loaf now. You might smell it in a little bit. It's a bacon, because I was going to hold it, but I'm like, oh, I forgot. I threw a loaf in this morning. It was easy. So
it does work really easy.
Well, I've only made one loaf completed, but yeah, super easy. The only thing it doesn't do, which there's a larger version of this that is like $450 that has more features, and it has like a drawer or something that you can put mix-ins, like if you're going to add raisins or nuts, and it would dump them in without you having. Yeah, this doesn't do that. So the walnut bread I made the first time was just bread, because I missed the window
to show that.
Yeah. And so this time I stood there and waited and put it in. So we'll see how it turns out. But I did that. And then the other thing I bought also for Prime Days was a kitchen scale, because I've never had a kitchen scale. As much as I bake, you would think I have a kitchen scale, but I don't. Yeah. And that was also $9.99 for Amazon Prime Day. So that was like 50 or 60% off. So I was like, okay. So spend-free days are apparently gone, but it's been very intentional and mindful.
Yeah.
And I did, I talked with my husband, and I was like, I love the thought behind the bread machine that you got me, but there was only, the one to choose from his company. It didn't end up being my favorite. So far I'm loving this one. Yay. So yeah, I'm hoping this lasts a good long time, and then it'll be worth the investment, because I'll be making a lot of bread.
Oh yeah.
So that's it. All right, now to my tip for the week. And this is what not to say to somebody with ADHD. I apologize if the beauty of this is distracting you while I talk, but we can't shut it away anymore. We can't recover up. It's like a masterpiece.
It's gorgeous.
Oh, it is. It was very satisfying when I made my first little loaf, and that's why I just put these little King's Hawaiian rolls in here, just so you can see, but I had the little loaf up there sliced.
Did you take a picture?
No.
Oh, you gotta put it in your.
I did take a picture of it with just, because I was like, come on.
It's so
cute.
It's
so beautiful. So,
yeah.
So what not to say to someone with ADHD, like Patty, bring it in, rein it in.
Reel it in, girl.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to share 7 things not to say, but then I'm going to give you some wordsmithing to turn it into what you would say instead. Okay. So here's number 1. Well, everyone's a little ADHD.
I feel like that's diminishing.
It's a little dismissive, right? It's like,
yeah.
Okay, because you sometimes get distracted or forget where your car is parked is not fair to compare it to somebody that literally needs
their brain
medication, structure, support to be able to get up and do the things that they need to get done to be able to function. So instead you can say, well, I'm curious, what is it like for you? So instead of assuming that because you're a little distracted or you forget things sometimes, that that's what it's like, find out more.
Yeah.
So asking somebody if you're comfortable with that, if that person has shared that they have ADHD and this is hard for them, and then instead of saying, well, yeah, everybody has it a little bit. Okay, no, maybe just say, well, thank you for, being open with that. I appreciate that. Can you tell me a little bit about what that's like for you? I'm curious. Okay, number 2, this is actually like number 1. Never, ever, ever say this to somebody with ADHD. Never. I'm like angry even just getting ready to say it. You just need to try a little harder. Makes me want to spit, and I'm not a spitter.
Yeah.
So
that's nice. No.
well, because it ties to that. You're just lazy. You're just not, you don't care. You're not trying hard enough. You're really smart. You could do it if you really wanted to.
Put your mind.
None of that.
No.
Say none of that ever. Instead, you might say, I can see you're having a hard time getting started or finishing that up. How can I support you with this? So you're being open to recognizing that this is a challenge and not judging it, saying you're just not trying hard enough or you just need to try a little harder. Never.
No.
Never. And parents out there, please don't say that. Our kiddos grow up to be adults that internalize that language. And I have so many adults and students I've worked with over the years, but for the adults, it's almost worse because they've held that for so long and collected a lot of evidence to support that they really believe often that they are lazy and they just don't try enough and that there's something wrong with them for not doing that. And it's a deep shame feeling where they're just, trying to hide instead of owning who they are. So yeah. Okay. Now, number 3, you don't look like you have ADHD. This is a triggering one for me because I hear that a lot.
Oh my gosh.
And
people say it's terrible.
So it might be, I know ADHD can look different and show up in lots of ways, might be a different thing that you can say, because there's a lot of things that I don't do because I know I can get dysregulated quickly. Like I've shared, I don't really drink in public. I get overstimulated enough where people think I'm drunk when I haven't drank. So I typically don't like drinking out in front of, I don't really drink a lot, period, but I really don't like drinking in front of other people because I think people think I've been having a lot to drink or I came already drinking or whatever it is. And I'm like, no, this is just me.
This is
me on my brain, how it is. So, understanding that it does show up differently for everybody and not assuming because somebody has a degree or somebody has a successful business or is successful in their work that they can't have it, because I think people tend to have a picture in their minds of what ADHD looks like. And it can look like that, but that's not what it always looks like. So understanding it can look different and show up in lots of different ways. Number 4, that's just an excuse. So somebody's saying they have ADHD and the person replying, well, that's just an excuse. So
I don't like that person.
Yeah. So it might be, instead of saying it's an excuse, then I may say, sorry, I was running late. I, struggling with time management because I have ADHD. Not, okay, that's an excuse. You might say, oh, well, thank you for explaining that to me. So I understand that time management is hard for you.
Yeah.
Again, I always try to encourage my clients to own where their challenges are, but also what they're doing to better support themselves. So for that, in that example, if you're running late and somebody's frustrated, it could be, I realize I'm late. I apologize. I am working on my time management because I realize that I really don't manage time in a way that somebody without ADHD does. So I'm working on adding timers and prompts and things, but it's a process. So I appreciate your patience while I'm working on it. So then it's kind of owning what's going on, but also acknowledging it can be frustrating. Like, believe me, it's frustrating to us too, but that we're working on it. Okay. Number 5, ADHD isn't real. Now, this is a thankfully smaller, I feel like it is, not as prevalent as it used to be, but it's still out there in large degrees, unfortunately. So instead of saying it's not real and just kind of blanket, like I'm dismissing that.
Yeah.
Whatever you're saying is going on with you, that's not valid. saying something like, oh, I've been learning a lot about, I'm hearing more about ADHD lately. What helps you to manage it?
Yeah.
Or, how does that show up for you, so that you're getting an understanding maybe firsthand if somebody's open to sharing what that's like. Everybody isn't. So, also be mindful that not everyone wants to talk about their ADHD.
Yeah.
And depending on where the conversation's happening, if it's around other people or, it really just depends on the situation. So be mindful.
Be mindful.
Ironically, I find a lot of people that say these things probably have some ADHD traits within them themselves,
Yeah.
undiagnosed, because they're a bit impulsive, not really reading the room, not really understanding that this might not be something that they're comfortable with because they're looking clearly uncomfortable and they're oblivious to the fact that they're looking uncomfortable. So it's an interesting dynamic. Okay, last two. Number 6, you don't care about my time when you're late. This is going back to what I already talked about with the lateness, but this is taking it from that, like, I'm offended that you don't value my time.
Yeah, they're taking it personally.
Yes. And this can really be difficult because when you say something like that to somebody with ADHD, it can feel like a judgment. It can feel like we're not valuing it, when often that is exactly the opposite of what is true. And it's not supporting that awareness to grow and any kind of path opening up to facilitate navigating that path a little bit more successfully. So it might be just asking like, I noticed that you struggle to arrive on time when we set a time to meet. And I'm curious, what would you need to do to make time work better for you, or to make time more visible for you? So you're, in essence, basically asking a question to help support them. Just say, I want to do what I can, if there's anything I can do to support you, if you're willing to. Some people are like, I don't want to babysit. This happens a lot in couples. We're like, I don't want to feel like I'm, parenting them or making them codependent on me or whatever it is. So notice what works for you. But again, if that's the only statement you have in your back pocket, I would advise don't say anything and figure out a way to broach that conversation if it's going to be an ongoing thing that you're tolerating, in a way that supports you and the person that you are having that conversation with. And then the last one is, I can't believe you forgot again. So if somebody was supposed to bring something for you, this happened recently. I shared before, I had the Aura ring.
Oh yeah.
No more. It drove me crazy. It was, I'm not a tracker, like digital tracker fan. If it didn't record like my entire walk, I was like, forget this. Like, I was just like so mad because I was like, okay, all the data were accurate because it didn't even record it.
Right. That's the point.
Yeah. And so I gave it to my son when he was here, and to put in his luggage to take back to give to my daughter, because she wears the same size and she was very interested in it. So I packed everything. I had the box that came in and everything. I gave it to him to put in his suitcase. I am about to swear there. I kid you not. I almost said I do not. 6 weeks go by. Now, mind you, they work in the same school every day.
Right.
He walked in, kept forgetting to bring it. They live in the same apartment complex. I didn't want her to know I sent it to her. I was supposed to be a surprise. So I kept waiting for her to mention it when we talked. Yeah. Oh, gosh, I love it. Nothing. And then I'd ask him, I'd remember, I'm like, did you give your sister? No, I need to do that. So she finally got it. I am not kidding. 6 weeks later, because she went to his apartment to get it.
I was like, give me it.
Yeah.
No.
Because I know she made biscotti one morning. She's like, I'm going to run some over to him. I said, don't give it to him unless he gives you the ring. She was like, oh, that's such a great thing. Oh, because she would have forgotten because she was focused on the biscotti. So that statement, I can't believe you forgot again. Let's look for a more supportive way to say that. And it might be, what prompt would work for you next time? So if you're frustrated that somebody keeps forgetting things, asking what would work instead of judging the fact that they keep forgetting. The judging and the kind of statement like, oh, can't believe you forgot it again, doesn't help move it forward, doesn't help solve the problem of the forgetful piece. So asking like, what prompt would you need to help you remember next time? So I always say, put it right in, I like drive myself crazy with putting things like right in front of me. Stick it on the mirror, put it in front of the door so I have to move it so I could, like, whatever it is, like, it has to be somewhere I cannot miss it or I will forget. So what prompt would you need to work for you? Okay. So those are just some things to never say to somebody with ADHD, and maybe, a little tweak for what you could say instead if something does need to be said. Okay. Now for our main topic this week, and that's 8 facts and 8 myths about ADHD. So these are Patty's top 8. So I'm going to start by underlining that ADHD is still incredibly misunderstood. So I'd say, going back to what I said a minute ago, I don't think there's as much of a group that believes it's not a real thing. They're still out there, but I think that's smaller. But I do think that it's still very misunderstood. And statements that come up a lot around this that highlight the misunderstandings are, why don't you just do it, the thing? What have you done all day? Right? So like, I always say, like, people with ADHD can use so much of their energy just to get out of bed because they'll be thinking about everything that needs to be done, all of the effort it's going to take, how they're going to let people down if they don't do it. And they're exhausted. And so it might be like noon and it's like, well, I'm still working on getting up. Like my bladder is like getting there. It's going to force me at some point, and that might be the only urgent thing that gets you out of bed. So today my goal is just to share my top 8 myths and my top 8 facts about it. So number 1, this is starting with myths. I should have said that. Myths first. ADHD is just a lack of willpower. Nope. No. It is a brain-based difference that impacts your executive functions. It's not laziness. So that is an absolute myth. Number 2, only kids have ADHD. A lot of people still do believe this. So people that I would say used to believe it was a myth now are more likely maybe to accept that kids have ADHD, children. But it's a myth in adults that you outgrow it. You don't outgrow it. You might not need supports as your brain continues developing in your mid to late 20s, and you have structures in place to support yourself. But it's just like I always talk about, like, I have GPS now, so I don't get lost. But I don't have a good sense of direction. So you take my GPS away and I am still running in circles or going like literally across the border into different states before I realize, until I see a welcome to Virginia sign. And I'm like, what the hell? What happened? So it's a lifelong condition, and many adults are diagnosed with it late in life. So, or, certainly like 40s, 50s, and even later. That is a myth that only kids have it. Number 3, people with ADHD just can't focus. It's not that we can't focus, it's that we really struggle to focus on anything that's not interesting to us. So if we're interested, we can focus, and we can even hyper-focus, which can sometimes become a problem because we lose all sense of time and space because we're so dialed into something that we're interested in that it gets in the way because we didn't realize 5 hours have gone by. And
did you eat?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, didn't eat, didn't go to the bathroom, haven't hydrated, didn't take my medicine, forgot the dogs need to go out. Like there's so much, kids are at carpool, like they're calling, with you.
But I'm focused.
But I'm getting things done, man. I am dialed in. Number 4, ADHD is caused by bad parenting or excessive screen time. Now, it is a neurological condition.
Yeah.
It's influenced by your environment. Okay. So if you have certain parenting styles, it can definitely worsen the impact.
Yeah.
A lot of screens, this can impact everybody, even without ADHD. We're hearing how much shorter our attention span's getting because of the TikTok, Instagram, like little videos, short clips. Sure. But it is not caused, at least research that I've seen so far, it's not caused by that. Maybe something in the future will say, in a rare small percentage, but that's not the case. Number 5, everyone is a little ADHD. That statement, never say that. It's diagnosis is based on the level of impact. So yes, you might forget your keys, you might, lose track of time, you might have areas of your life where you're disorganized, but this is diagnosed because it's impacting to a level that is getting in the way of you succeeding in multiple areas. So it's recognizing that this is not a like, oh, well, you know what? My car is kind of messy. I must have ADHD. No, that is not it. It is real. ADHD is overdiagnosed is number 7, where yes, there might be areas where it's being overdiagnosed, but generally it's underdiagnosed, especially in certain populations. And that would be women or girls and people of color. And sometimes culturally, people are more resistant to getting a diagnosis or receiving support for something. So that can get in the way of getting diagnosed and treatment too. And then number 8, ADHD only impacts school or work. And that is not true. That is a myth. It also impacts your relationships. It totally impacts your self-esteem, your self-efficacy, that belief that you can do what you plan to do and intend to do. And it also impacts your relationships, your emotional regulation. Like, it is far-reaching and impactful. And like a lot of things with different mental health conditions, it's on a scale. So you might be more impacted in organization and less so in flexibility, or more in working memory and less in your ability to hold on to your goals over time. Like, there's a lot of different ways it can show up. But a lot of us do have a lot of social challenges, or we overcompensate. So it takes a lot of energy to manage social situations, or we might be able to organize certain things. I remember I used to always laugh because I was a professional organizer for years. And I'm like, I love organizing other people's things. I have no emotional attachment to it. It's so easy to make decisions. But I'd open my van up to go get out of the car, and like kids' flyers, the homework papers and, lunch boxes, all flew out of the car. And I'm like, don't mind the woman with the van. No, don't look behind the door. It's like, trust me, I got your stuff. I struggle with mine. Okay, now for the 8 facts. ADHD impacts time perception. And this is proven, shown through research over many decades. So many people with ADHD struggle with time blindness, where we don't feel and experience the sense of time passing the same way that neurotypical brains do. And that also leads to difficulties with long-term planning, because our brains are not now. Like, tomorrow is not now. So that's like long-term planning to us sometimes. Number 2, ADHD impacts emotional regulation. So we are more prone to rejection sensitivity. We get overwhelmed more easily, and we experience more intense emotions. And this can be something that could be really also tied to shame, especially if you get more emotional in environments where it's not culturally acceptable. So this comes up a lot for men if they get more emotional. Having to learn how to compensate for that as a defense mechanism, because depending on where your culture in your family, your culture in your neighborhood, in your school, in the world, this might be more okay than others. I have always cried easily, and I've always been grateful that I'm a woman, because it's at least more acceptable.
Yeah.
And I've always felt, really, for men who, depending on where they grew up and how they grew up, if it wasn't acceptable, it can be a really difficult thing, because you literally just feel things more intensely. So that's a real thing. Number 3, with the right environment and tools, many people with ADHD thrive. So this is where it might be like, you don't look like you have ADHD. Well, it's like, well, thank you, because I have a lot of systems in place that support it. But we typically will still have maybe some areas that aren't, at that optimal level, but they're not hindering us. So if you look at, Becca's here in my office with me, looking at the wall of files and carts, that is kind of like the what is it, the Alamo, like the last stand kind of thing.
Yeah.
I have everything else is pretty much working in my office. Do I swear on this podcast? I've wanted to swear multiple times. I don't think I do. I'll say that's an SHIT show over there. Like, it is clearly, if you walked in here and you didn't know what was going on with my brain, you'd be like, what's the story going on over here? It is so many, I call that like a wall of decisions, a pile of decision fatigue. It is so much effort to even think about starting to go through it. I have to make like multiple plans to just filter through one thing at a time and allow myself to go at a snail's pace. And that's how I'm doing it. But recognizing that it is possible to thrive with ADHD when you allow yourself to recognize the conditions that support your brain, and then actively seek out to create them, or to put yourself in those positions. So like if you are interviewing for a job, kind of noticing like, this feels like a lot of micromanaging, or this feels like, it's like, okay, if that's not going to work for your brain, let's not work against your brain. Let's work with your brain where we can. All right. Number 4, ADHD brains are interest-based, not importance-based. This is a fact. So as Dr. Dotson always says, 95% of the world, interest is based on importance. So if the teacher tells me it's important to learn this, then it's important to me to do it. with ADHD, it's interest-based primarily. So it might be important to the teacher that we learn it, but if it's not interesting to me, it's not important enough. It's like, I understand you think it's important that I learn this, but I'm not finding it interesting. So just because you think it's important doesn't mean I'm going to be able to navigate that easily. So we have to find ways to create interest. It's what I do with my students. Large proportion of the time when I'm working with them on school related material is, all right, how do we make this really boring assignment interesting for you? Yep. Number 5, coexisting conditions are very common with ADHD. So some common ones that are diagnosed along with ADHD are anxiety, depression, sleep issues, OCD, learning disabilities. It's pretty rare, I always say, for ADHD to play alone. So recognizing that there are often other things going on is important to help get the support you need if there's something else in addition to ADHD that's going on for you. Number 6, movement and fidgeting can help you focus. So there is a reason that people doodle, that, you know, it's like, it's not that I am ignoring you or you are so boring that I'm drawing just to get through this. It's often a strategy to support focus. So pacing, doodling, fidgeting, those types of things often do serve as tools to support focus. So recognizing if a student or even an adult in a conference room, I have a little mini slinky I take with me everywhere. It's always in my purse. It's always on my desk. It's very discreet. I like the feel of it. I can just sit and discreetly play with it, but it's just enough interest for my brain to be able to then focus on what's being said. Yep. Number 7, many people with ADHD have better than average levels of creativity and problem solving skills. We are the think outside the box people. We can find really creative solutions that other people just aren't, their brains aren't going to connect to that. So that's one of our absolute strengths. And then finally, number 8, people with ADHD often work harder than others just to appear quote unquote normal or to get things done. So that's where, you know, my explanation for, maybe it looks like, you know, you come home, my dad used to come home from work and go, what have you kids been doing all day? We were thinking about tackling the kitchen and doing our chores and, you know, maybe like pulling the weeds you wanted us to weed. But it wasn't until I remember like very, very clearly seeing the headlights of his car pull in the driveway. And I was like, Dad! And we would just, in the 3 minutes it would take him to get his stuff out of the car and walk into the house, do like more than we could have done with an hour focus cleaning if we had all like done it earlier in the day. So it's often we're thinking about the things we need to do, but we have trouble activating. And that goes back to creating that energy in our brain, the dopamine getting fired up so that we can actually implement our intentions. And that again comes back to interest. So there's lots of things we can do when we understand what's going on with our brain so we can work with it and stop working against it. And that's what we do at ADHD Friendly. So again, ADHDfriendly.com, lots of resources to help you struggle less and thrive more. All right, finally, book of the week. This was a good one. I already told you about this one. I loved this one. I read another book of hers that just is actually coming out next week. I might do that one next week. It's called The Measure by Nikki Ehrlich.
Love the cover with the blues and pretty.
And so here, this came out in 2022, so it's not a brand new book. I had never heard of it. But here is a little synopsis. Imagine one morning you wake up and you're leaving for work or school or wherever you're going, and you find a small wooden box waiting for you outside your door. That's exactly what happens in this book, The Measure. But instead of just happening for you, it happens to every single adult in the world. So whether you live in a house, an apartment, a condo, a tent, a camper, a TP, everybody got a box if they're an adult. Inside the box is a string, and it says on the outside of the box, the measure of your life lies within. If you decide to open the box, the length of the string tells you how much more time you have left in your life. Do you open it?
No.
Do you want to know?
No.
So I found this premise fascinating. I gave it a 4 out of 5. It was a very quick, very engaging read. So it kept pulling me in because I want to know what happened. It follows a few people and their decisions whether or not to read, but also how society comes to judge like like you're a short stringer, people that had short strings, or like people feeling more elite, like, oh, I'm a long string, I got a long string, and people that chose not to read it and how the government gets involved. It's very interesting, so I highly recommend it. And I've got a quote from the book this week, and it is from Nikki Ehrlich. And she said, a stranger recently told me that she didn't want to waste any time feeling sad. She just wanted to live as much life as possible. And I think that's as good a measure as any. So that was a quote from her, I guess, on her book tour that she said that. And I was like, oh, I like that, because it really is about living as much life as possible with whatever amount of time that we have here on Earth. All right, that's it for this episode. I hope you were able to take away some nuggets that support you to struggle less and thrive more, and that you have a great rest of your week. Until next time, Tally ho.